welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo. I am the author of the film review website, Quipster.net. I invite you to check out over 4,000 of my written reviews. You can read there anytime. Quipster.net is where to go. QWIPSTER.net. While you're there, I do encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's very similar to this one, except with a lot more history and trivia thrown in. It is called Around the World in 80s Movies. Just search for the link when you go to my site. That's at Quipster.net. Today I'm going to be looking at a film that's currently out in a very limited selection of theaters. However, it is available on the DirecTV platform. If you subscribe to DirecTV, you probably are able to watch this on demand when you like. It is called The Professor. It is an R-rated film. It does have language, sexual content, and some drug use. The runtime is about an hour and 30 minutes. Johnny Depp is the star. Yes, Johnny Depp appearing in a film that's pretty much avoiding theaters. Never thought I'd see the day that would happen. Rosemarie DeWitt, Danny Houston, Ron Livingston, Odessa Young, Zoe Deutsch, and a few others are in the film. Wayne Roberts is the director. He also writes the screenplay. Now, Johnny Depp here is playing this English professor who works for this prestigious New England college. He's named Richard Brown. He learns that he has late-stage lung cancer. He probably only has 6 months to live if he doesn't seek any treatment, and he doesn't plan on seeking that treatment, we come to learn. On top of this, Richard is also terminally bored. He's a self-absorbed jerk whose own life has been falling apart long before this diagnosis. His wife is cheating on him with the chancellor, no less, his boss at the school. Now he can say whatever he feels like because he's only going to be here a little bit longer. He knows he's on his way out, and what he has to say is not always kind. With perhaps only months left, Richard decides to continue to teach his literature class. He hopes to impart some actual value to his current crop of students before he succumbs to his disease. He's also going to try to experience his own life without worrying about the consequences. A life that he comes to realize that he should have been trying to live all along. That's the basic setup. There are a lot of scenes that revolve around this, a few surprises as well. Tonally, The Professor, which had been renamed from its initial title of Richard Says Goodbye in the film festival circuit. Robert's prior film, his debut, was called Katie Says Goodbye. So it was in keeping with that theme there, but they did change it to The Professor for its release here on DirecTV and in theaters. It's all over the place as a film. At times, it does play like a farcical dark comedy. At other times, it's a very straightforward, heartfelt drama. It does have effective moments if you look at it as either one, but together, somehow the shifts can be felt within The Professor. It sometimes undercuts itself just when the film looks like it might be able to finally hit a prolonged stride. It goes from one to the other. It's never quite certain which way Roberts wants it to go. Johnny Depp here, he has plenty of room to roam with the character, but not so much for the mostly underwritten supporting cast. Particularly left wanting is the role of Richard's philandering and fed-up wife, Veronica. She's played here by Rosemarie DeWitt, who's a very good actress. She valiantly tries to act like Veronica's a lived-in and sympathetic human being, but the screenplay really doesn't give her much to do other than to look adoringly or angrily at Richard as he gets to grandstand his position in life at seemingly every turn. Johnny Depp here is certainly committed to the role. He gives the part his all. But throughout his career, Depp has always been an excellent character actor. But if you think about his roles that stand out, he's kind of a tougher sell in trying to act like a normal human being in roles. Here he's given a more grounded human character to inhabit, but he still plays this role with his character tendencies. A little bit like Jack Sparrow if you dialed it down about 70%, kind of in that range. Still a little bit more caricature than character. Now the real problem with The Professor is connecting to this character study. Many viewers are going to find themselves unable to feel any form of actual connection with Richard and his plight beyond anything that we might feel for, say, a complete stranger who's going through this process. We have 90 minutes of observing who he is and where he stands as he faces the daunting precipice of dying alone. But by the end, we wonder exactly who he is and what really is making him tick and what really to make of the whole movie in general. We wonder if the theme of making sure that we live life the way that we want to has come through this film. Even though the narrative alludes to that on several occasions, it just seems to be not quite connecting full on. Other questions abound. Would Richard be who he is had he lived carefreely like he is now? Would he have ever had a wife? Would the daughter he loves so much even exist? Could he have even lasted long enough in his career to be where he is today, to be able to live carefreely? If you live a life without regrets, isn't it possible to still have a regretful life when you actually look back? These are questions, I think, that you should ponder beyond the film, but they're not addressed properly, I think, within the course of the narrative that seeks to inspire beyond its main character, and yet it can't seem to be much more than a collection of his particular follies and foibles. So in the end, the professor plays a lot like the embodiment of my own college professors. They were learned, sometimes able to fascinate, yet they were also unapproachable and full of unappealing self-importance. So it's a close call, but I can't quite recommend it. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars out of 4. 2.5 stars on my scale means that I do think it had the tools, it had the talent to be a worthwhile film for most people, and yet it just falls short here. Certainly people who like Johnny Depp will probably get more mileage out of it. I know that given his personal life that's been in the news of late, maybe he's turned off a lot of people to his movies, and maybe they're not even going to give this one a chance. I like his performance in this movie, but I do think that the movie is not really playing to his particular strengths, and I don't think that he's able to overcome some of the problems that I feel are there within the narrative to make it a worthwhile film for most people. So 2.5 stars out of 4 is the best I can give The Professor. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you do end up seeing The Professor and you have your own thoughts, you can find my contact information on my website. Let me know what you think. That's at quipster.net, QWIPSTER.net. Until you hear from me again, thanks everyone for listening, and please enjoy your time anytime you get to go to the movies, even if you're kicking back watching your satellite dish at home.